Navigating through life can often feel like traversing an uncharted forest. The paths aren't clear, and with every step you take, there's the chance you might trip and fall. So you paused, unsure whether to press on. It's much easier, isn't it, to stay in the place where you already know how to survive, even if that place is full of shadows. But what if the only way to reach a new dawn is to go through what's aptly termed the dark night of the soul? You see, the dark night of the soul isn't just a poetic metaphor. It's a phrase originally used by Saint John of the Cross, a Spanish mystic, to describe a stage in spiritual development where old beliefs fall away, making room for new growth. While its origins are rooted in spirituality, this concept has branched out to psychology and personal development. The essence is consistent. It is a transformative passage, a metaphorical tunnel that leads you from a life of limitation to a life of greater freedom and understanding. Why is it so hard to enter this tunnel? Often, our fears act like guardians at the gate. Fear of change, fear of the unknown, fear of losing what we have, even if what we have is not making us happy. The mind weaves stories telling us that we are not strong enough, not wise enough, or not ready. We convince ourselves that the pain of staying the same is lesser than the pain of transformation. But is that really true? And let's not forget society's role in this. Our culture is generally not fond of darkness. We are taught to seek pleasure, avoid pain, to stay in well-lit rooms, both literally and metaphorically. But light is only one side of the coin. Without the darkness, how will you ever get to see the stars? It's time to stop demonizing the dark night of the soul. It's not an enemy, it's a necessary passage. A crucible in which your old self is dismantled so that a new, more aligned version of you can emerge. If you felt stuck, stifled, or even paralyzed, ask yourself, am I willing to traverse my inner landscape to face my fears, regrets, and unresolved issues for the promise of a brighter future? It might feel as though you're signing up for a difficult journey without a guarantee of success. And you are. But what you might find, once you reach the other side, is a life where the air is fresher, the sky clearer, and your own capabilities vastly expanded. Let me introduce you to the concept of primitive integration, a state where you're basically on autopilot. You follow societal norms and your biological impulses without questioning them. It's like you're a character in a story someone else is writing. You're not the author of your own life, at least not fully. In this state, it's easy to feel stuck, because you're not digging deeper into who you really are or what you really want. Now consider the theory of positive disintegration as a shift from autopilot to manual control. It's a mental framework that promotes breaking down your existing beliefs, values, and identities to rebuild a more authentic version of yourself. This breakdown is not a negative. Think of it as tearing down a dilapidated building to construct a more stable, grander one in its place. This process lets you choose aspects that resonate with you and discard those that don't, aligning you more closely with your true self. This concept parallels the zero-point field in quantum physics, a space of all possibilities. When particles disintegrate into this field, they have the potential to reappear in different forms and states. Similarly, positive disintegration is like tapping into your own field of infinite possibilities. It's about dissolving old patterns to allow for new, more aligned configurations of yourself. So, as we've looked into how you can go from being stuck in a cycle to stepping into a more dynamic, evolving version of yourself, what's the practical way to do this? How do you journey through your dark night of the soul, especially when you feel paralyzed by indecision and fear? 1. Emotions are not a reality. It's pivotal to remember that our emotions, while compelling, are not the final arbiters of truth. In the Stoic tradition, Epictetus wisely said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." That is precisely the power this exercise affords us. The ability to choose our response rather than be yanked around by our emotional strings. In this exercise, think of your emotions as actors on a stage. Just as an actor plays a role but isn't the whole play, your emotions have parts to play but aren't the sum total of your being. Each actor has lines, tendencies, and even costumes, yet the curtain eventually falls. The actor leaves the stage, allowing a different emotion to have the spotlight. The stage remains, but the actors change. By employing emotional compartmentalization, a concept initially laid out by Sigmund Freud, you're essentially creating a psychological dressing room for each emotion actor. You can engage with them, understand their script, and even modify it. You become the director of your emotional play, choosing when an actor can stay and when it's time for them to exit. This process enables you to identify triggers and pacify the emotional intensity, thereby allowing room for more rational decision-making. It's an effective strategy because it isolates the emotional turbulence from the cognitive calm, helping you to navigate complex situations without the emotional fog clouding your judgments. By naming these personas and acknowledging their temporary presence, you remember, as the Stoics teach us, that you are not a puppet controlled by strings of emotion. Instead, you are the puppeteer with the power to cut those strings and move freely. This act of naming and understanding allows you to respond to life's challenges rather than react impulsively. It's a tool that takes you one step closer to navigating through your dark night of the soul. 2. Narrative therapy. The voice inside your head can often feel like a critic that never takes a day off. But what if that voice could become an encouraging friend instead? Narrative therapy can help you shift the stories you tell yourself, transforming that inner critic into a supporter. This process encourages you to rewrite the internal dialogue that shapes your self-perception, and in turn, your life. Here's how you can do it. Take a step back and detach your self-worth from the mistakes you've made or problems you've encountered. Change the language you use. Instead of thinking, "I'm a failure," think, "I failed at this task, but it doesn't define me. I can learn and grow." Create a mental library of your successes and happy moments. Whenever you doubt your worth or ability, play this reel. If you think you're not good at relationships, recall times you've been a fantastic friend, a caring sibling, or a loving partner. The act of remembering these instances reconditions your mind and challenges those negative beliefs. Put your thoughts on paper. It gives you a concrete look at what's bothering you and allows you to dissect it more rationally. Over time, you'll start to see patterns and triggers that you can work on. Plus, a journal serves as a record of your progress, showing how far you've come in rewriting your narrative. After identifying a negative thought, write down a more constructive version next to it. Seeing the positive side physically written out can give it more weight in your mind. Use simple, positive phrases to affirm your worth and potential. Speak them out loud to yourself. These serve as gentle reminders that can start to drown out the negative chatter. By rewriting your inner script, you're better able to combat stress and navigate life's challenges. You become more in tune with your emotions, which helps in interpersonal relationships and with yourself, of course. 3. The Feeling Translator. The Feeling Translator exercise can be a powerful tool to make sense of those confusing, swirling emotions that seem to pop up out of nowhere. You know, the ones that make you feel stuck or uneasy but are hard to put a finger on. This exercise is a way to pause, to dig deep, and translate what you're actually feeling into understandable terms. So how does it work? Identify the feeling. The first step is to pinpoint what you're feeling. Is it sadness, anger, anxiety? Translate into a statement. Now take that emotion and translate it into a clear statement that identifies why you're feeling this way. Instead of saying, "I feel sad," You could say, I feel sad because I missed a call from a friend and now I'm thinking they'll be mad at me. Dig deeper. Sometimes our first answer isn't the whole story. Ask yourself, is that really it? Is there something else? Maybe your sadness isn't just about the missed call. Maybe it's about a pattern where you feel you're constantly letting people down. Plan of action. Now that you've identified the root, what can you do about it? If you're anxious about a meeting, can you spend some time preparing? If you're sad about a relationship, is it time for a heart-to-heart with that person? Let's say you're feeling anxious. First, you identify the emotion, anxiety. Next, translate it. I feel anxious because I have a pile of unpaid bills. I don't know how to manage them. Then, dig a bit deeper. Is it just the bills, or is it a larger issue about your approach to finances? Lastly, decide on a course of action. Maybe like setting up a budget or speaking to a financial advisor. Understanding your feelings through this exercise has its own unique rewards. This simple yet transformative process offers you a sense of clarity that cuts through emotional fog, empowering you to regain control over your life's narrative. And perhaps most soothing of all, just putting words to what you're feeling can bring an immediate sense of relief, like releasing a breath you didn't know you were holding. These benefits make the effort more than worthwhile, turning emotional confusion into pathways for actionable change and peace of mind. The journey through the dark night of the soul is an unsettling yet transformative process. When you hit rock bottom, it may feel like an insurmountable obstacle, but it's actually an invitation for profound growth. This descent is not just a slump or a mere phase. It serves as a profound catalyst for reinvention, compelling you to confront your truest self. It forces you to disassemble your identity, only to rebuild it in a more authentic form. Navigating this journey involves several stages, from the initial triggering events that jolt you out of your comfort zone to the profound sense of loss and aimlessness. The experience may isolate you, make you numb, or even cost you relationships. Yet, when you're at your lowest, the potential for transformation is the highest. The process eventually leads you to awaken to your innermost truths. This dawning realization isn't easy. It often comes with emotional and physical symptoms that demand attention. Ultimately, the dark night of the soul transforms your suffering into wisdom, replacing outdated habits and worldviews with a renewed sense of purpose and compassion. While this journey is a challenging one, it's also an opportunity to let go of what no longer serves you, enabling you to live a more authentic life. If you found value in this journey we shared today, consider hitting the like button and subscribing for more insights. To delve deeper and support our work, join our Patreon and membership programs. We've also listed some helpful books in the description below that could be your companions through tough times. Thank you for being here. Until next time, take care.